Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على نبيه ومصطفاه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Brothers and sisters, welcome to another new edition of your program, Ask Huda. Inshallah, today and before we start taking phone calls, I would like to go over a couple of things. Last episode actually, we had one pending question about the ayat from 27 through 30 of Surah Al-Fajr. The sister inquired about their meaning. And the second is when I explained the hadith. Somebody inquired about dua that the Prophet ﷺ made, and he said that's a sound hadith. When he said in the hadith, وَبَارِكْ لَنَا فِي مُدِّهَا وَصَاعِهَا, and bless us in its measure, the mud and as-sa'. And I gave a brief explanation of the mud and as-sa', both are measures, and each sa' consists of 4 mud. And I promise, inshallah, in the next episode, I will make sure that I will bring the mud or the measure that the Prophet ﷺ used to use, because we deal with it in various aspects, such as in the zakatul fitr, and also the kafarat, the ransoms, and also regards to how much water the Prophet ﷺ used to use in performing wudu and in performing ghusl. My Shaykh, a long time ago, gave me, with a continuous testimony all the way to the Prophet ﷺ, a measure. He said that is the exact measure of the mud of the Prophet ﷺ. And his Shaykh gave it to him, and his Shaykh gave it to him. The word mud literally means when somebody stretches out his hands, or one hand, bil-ata, when you give mud, from madda, stretched out. And in the past, they used to measure as follows, like we go to the market and we use the weights. 1 kilogram or 1 pound if you are in North America, it depends on whichever system you're following. So they used to go by the measurement, the volume, not by the weight. So the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he stretched out both hands, this is what we call it, handfuls of what? Handfuls of food, of grains, of wheat, of rice, of dates, of raisin. This is all used في zakat al-fitr in order to measure the due amount of zakah for breaking your fast before Salatul Eid, Eid al-Fitr, after Ramadan. So al-Mud, the companions and their followers and their successors measured how much the handfuls of the Prophet ﷺ would carry. And they estimated that exactly, and it appeared to be like this measure. This measure, many people do have it, the same exact measure of the handfuls of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So with a simple calculation, I brought some rice because I couldn't afford the raisins. So we'll try the rice, that is the cheapest. You could try the wheat, you could try any grains. And if we fill this container and you top it off, obviously this is 1 kilogram of rice. This bag, it was sealed, contains 1 kilogram of rice. So when we use a ruler and we top it off, this is supposed to be a mud. Al-mud is the handfuls of the Prophet ﷺ, filled with grains, with rice, with wheat, with raisin, with dates. And An-Nabi ﷺ said in the hadith that صدقة الفطر صاع على كل مسلم ومسلمة. فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صدقة الفطر صاعا على كل مسلم ومسلمة ذكر أو أنثى. Young or old, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم ordained صدقة الفطر, the zakah of breaking your fast Ramadan, and before offering the Eid prayer to be distributed, صاع. A صاع consists of 4 muds. So this is 1 mud. 4 of this measurement would consist of صاع. And also, so this is the unit of a صاع. 4 of this would be equivalent to a صاع. And the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith which is narrated by Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, used to perform wudu, and his wudu would consume only a mud of water. This is very important. When the Prophet ﷺ taught us to be moderate in the ibadah, in the worship, in the consumption, in the food consumption, in doing anything, even in wudu, he taught us to be moderate and not to be extravagant. So this, let me put this back. So we're talking about this measurement. When we weigh it, when we weigh its contents, it happened to be 650 gram. 650 gram. So that means we don't really have to use this measurement anymore. We can simply multiply 650 times 4, that is a sa' of the wheat or the raisin or whatever you're going to give in sadaqatul fitr per each person in the family. So I'm going to put it back in this plate. MashaAllah. Now if I fill it with water, and I do have the water, but I don't want to make it messy. If I have a bottle which is 600 milliliters, it will take exactly about 628 or 30 milliliters. 638 or 28 milliliters. This is how much water that the Prophet ﷺ needed to perform wudu. And it also shows us a very significant fact, which is that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ used to observe closely everything that the Prophet ﷺ used to do. How much water would he use for wudu, and how much water would he use for ghusl, and how much would he eat, how much would he drink, and how would he drink, how would he eat. You know that it is a sunnah that whenever you put your shoes on, you put them on while being seated, not standing. When you tie your shoelace, you should be sitting down, not standing. Or some people actually kneel down or bend over. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us to. You know, there are very beautiful details that we learn from the seerah, the biography, and the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So one more time, as I promised, that is, by the grace of Allah, the exact measure of the mud of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this is how much water he needed to perform wudu. And he would perform ghusl utilizing 4 or 5 of these. So if it is 4, then we're talking about 1 sa'. And if it is 5, like 1 sa' and 1 mud. Now, we skip this and we go to another thing, which is apostasy. I think it was Hussein from Bahrain who said that he has non-Muslim friends who inquire about the punishment in Islam and how severe it is and so on. And I said that Islam is the only true religion, that each and every Muslim must believe in that. Inna ad-deena 'inda Allahi al-Islam. And the ordainment of the Sharia are directly from Allah Himself. No human being, no creature whatsoever intervene in forming and formulating the Sharia. That's why it has the purest essence. It is from Allah, and He knows best what suits His servants most, what is beneficial for them, whether with regards to their dunya, the life of this world, or with regards to their hereafter and their salvation. So I also mentioned that in the Old and in the New Testament, the punishment is much more severe than in the Islamic Sharia for apostasy. And let's look at the following slides, and you can find all of that. It's not a secret. Here. Yep. We'll look into the Old Testament first, then the New Testament. And I want you to follow carefully. In Deuteronomy, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13, verse 6 to 9. Read with me. If your very own brother, or your son or daughter, or the wife you love, or your closest friend secretly entices you, saying, let's go and worship other gods, if you scroll down and you just get to the point, it says, show him no pity. Do not spare him or shield him. You must certainly put him to death. Your hand must be the first in putting him to death. Also in Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 3 to 7. And you must stone such one with stones, and such one must die. If you go to Chronicles 15, verse 13, were to be put to death again. And in the New Testament, by Jesus and Paul, it's kind of long, so I will just give you the conclusion in verse 4 in Matthew chapter 15 from 1 to 9. In the 4th verse, for God said, honor your father and mother, and anyone who curses his father or mother must be put to death. Then in 8, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. The conclusion that this clearly means, if you read these verses, I gave you the reference and you can Google them in a minute. Okay, Jesus absolutely approved and commanded the following punishment for apostasy, which is death. The fact that he commanded death penalty for cursing the parents clearly proves that he also approves of killing apostates, as clearly shown in the OT verses above. For the sake of time, I will let you investigate this on your own. Why did I make an effort to present this before you? If I know this for myself, that is sufficient. But many Muslims act as always defensive, and sometimes they get into the stage of denial, like, well, not all the scholars say this, but we have to look into the hadith and whether. Just recently in Jordan, you heard about the girl who accepted Islam and how her family brutally killed her. And several examples in Egypt, many examples. But the Western media is deaf and blind, does not even mention any of these incidents where they are all Muslim people or Christians accepting Islam, and they will be executed, they will be assassinated. Recently there was a case in Cairo, a girl who accepted Islam and she married to a Muslim man, and she fled because her family would kill her. Years later, while she had a child and she was pregnant, they assassinated her in midday in the middle of the street with the machine guns. Well, I never heard of that in the Western media. Well, because she was killed by her Christian family. So these are the teachings of the Old and the New Testament. And it says, show them no pity, no mercy. Do not even discuss the matter with them. But Islam says, as I mentioned last time, that you have to lift the fog, refute their misconceptions. Maybe they are being misinformed. And the seerah is full of incidents like that. Look what happened with Al-Khawarij, who fought against Ali radiallahu anhu. He could have waged a war against them and eliminated them. But rather he sent to them Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. And they presented 3 questions to him. And when he answered them, over a couple thousand of them returned back to the folds of Islam, because he left the fog. So this is the wisdom behind these rulings. Assalamu alaikum. There are many brothers who are waiting, or callers, for over 15 minutes. Sister Salma. Sister Salma from the USA, thank you so much for waiting for 16 minutes. MashaAllah, Jazakillahu khairan.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Salah.
Wa alaikum
Jazakallahu
salam
khairan.
wa jazaki. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless you.
Sheikh, I have two questions.
No.
I have a friend and she's had a surgery, and after surgery she is having a problem breaking wudu every time she does wudu or she's in salah. So I saw her doing wudu like 4 or 5 times, and after that when she's in salah she breaks wudu again. So she tries to do that, but I don't know, and sometimes she gets fed up and she leaves the salah. I don't know, what should I give her some kind of advice or something? And my second question is, what she should do? She should continue the salah or she should do the wudu again and again?
Okay.
I mean, like 5, 6 times she does.
Okay.
And then my second question is, wudu before sleep. I heard that angels pray for you. But what if you break wudu before sleeping? Your intention is to have wudu and go to sleep, but you break wudu. So does that still say that the angels pray for you?
Okay. Thank you, Sister Salma. Any other questions?
Okay.
Wa jazaki. You're eligible to ask more for waiting for so long. May Allah bless you. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Next caller. Sister Safi from United Arab Emirates.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Walaikum assalam, Sheikh. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Sheikh, I want to ask you 2 questions.
No.
One is when we are praying salah, and you said that in your earlier program that you can do invocation in your or supplication in your own language. So in sujood, but also we do the supplication after the tashahhud, that's saying Attahiyat, and then say the supplication in our language and then continue with the durood, or we complete the durood and everything, and then in the last, before the salam, we say the dua. When do we say the supplication?
Okay.
That is one. And the second is, Sheikh, if one is in their menses, and how do you come to know when, if somebody suffering from some illness, and they are having the period twice in a month, so and the gap for prayer is like the tahara is only hardly 5 to 6 days. So what is to be done under this? Do we just pray for 5 to 6 days in a month, and the rest of the 20 days we are just unclean, or can you just shed some light on this if possible? Thank you, sir. Jazakallah.
Wa jazakum. Thank you, Sister Safi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Saifullah from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Welcome to Ask Huda.
Barakallah, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum to you and to the complete Huda team. This is the best channel in the world, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. Barakallah.
Alhamdulillah. May Allah accept all your efforts and the complete team efforts, and ease all the difficulties of the complete Huda team.
Ameen. Ameen. Thank you so much. What a beautiful dua.
Sheikh, I have 2 questions regarding if job in a bank is not permissible. So if any of our brother invites us for food, so is it permissible to go to his house for food?
Okay. Any other questions?
No, Sheikh, my son wants to talk to you. If you permit, please.
Go ahead.
Welcome, Sheikh.
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. How about yourself?
Welcome, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Sheikh, I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Barakallah feek. You didn't tell me your name though.
Saifullah.
What's your name?
Saifullah.
Saifullah, Saifullah, Ummu Saifullah, I should get it. MashaAllah, Barakallah feek, ya Saifullah. I love you so much for the sake of Allah. Barakallah feek.
I want to become like you.
Barakallah feek, Saif. Jazakallah khairan. Very lovely to hear from you. May Allah bless you and your family. Thank you so much. Barakallah feekum. Alhamdulillah. May Allah accept. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Khurshid from United Arab Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Sheikh Salah.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi
How
wa
are you, sir?
barakatuh.
How is your family?
Long time, Brother Khurshid. How are you?
Yeah, after a very long time, no doubt, sir. Sheikh Salah, just I want to confirm one thing.
Yeah.
I was attending one majlis, and in that one of scholars said that, for example, if I am reading Quran and after that I do the dam on water, so I cannot drink or I cannot give to somebody else, a sick person or something like that. He said that it is not true from Allah, Quran and Hadith. So can you tell me that, because from my childhood I have seen this and I'm going to be honest.
Okay, we need first of all to figure out the practice. You said if you read the Quran, then you do what?
Yeah, I used to do dam on the water.
Dam?
Yeah, just after reading the Quran or all three Quls, I used to spit on this water.
Okay, you blow. No.
Yeah, blow on the water,
Okay.
and I used to give, I used to drink or I used to give to anybody who is sick.
No.
So he said, no, you cannot. It is not allowed from Allah, Quran, and any Hadith.
Barakallah feek. Okay, thank you. We'll answer you inshallah, Khurshid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Abu Maryam from Kenya.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, brother?
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for the good work you're doing.
Wa jazakum. May Allah accept from all of us.
Sheikh, I have a question regarding inheritance.
Now,
I'm actually asking this for someone. It's a mother of 8 children, 7 boys and 1 girl. They bought a house with a contribution of the 3 brothers, and the 3 brothers are the ones who contributed a substantial amount, and while the rest took part of taking care of the mother, including the girl. Now, the mother then decided that the house was bought in her name. She decided to allocate apartments to each child equally, and all of them live together. Now the mother passed away several years ago, and the children continued living there. It has reached now the 3 brothers are claiming ownership of the house, and now the others feel that they also should own part of that house. So, Sheikh, I wanted you to advise if the other children have a right or not.
okay. Because your question is kind of long, I don't want you or the viewers to get lost. I will begin by answering this quickly. If the callers can just give me a minute. That if any person, a parent or whoever, in his or her life happen to allocate some of their properties as gifts or whatever, equally among their children or the heirs, that is done during their lives. But if they die, they don't have an access as how to distribute the inheritance, even if they included that in a will. Like, for instance, somebody died and said, please give this house to my elder son and do not give anything to the youngest daughter. None of that will be honored, because once the person dies, what will be in effect? The inheritance law, and that's it, without going into details. Now, as long as the property was in her name and she passed away without actually giving whomever whatever she wanted to give, then the property is a masha'. Masha' means is open for inheritance for everyone who's eligible to inherit, for all the heirs. So any will, request, bequest will be dismissed and will resort to what is known as al-fara'id. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in this regard? So I thought when you're going to ask about inheritance, mas'ala, You gave me a mother died and left behind 3 daughters, 4 sons, blah, blah, blah. So I can tell you exactly the share of each. Okay, Barakallah Feek. Abu Maryam from Kenya. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Abdul Rauf from the KSA.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, my question is, I pray Asr every day in my office and I wipe on my socks when I pray Asr prayers.
Okay.
And when I come back home before Maghrib, can I take my socks out and pray straight away, or I have to make another wudu, or I have to only wash the feet?
Okay. So the question is concerning if you take your socks off after you have wiped over them instead of washing the feet, would the wudu be still valid? According to the more right view, yes, it will be still valid. There are 3 opinions in this mas'ala. The more right view, that your wudu is still valid, provided you need to remember that before putting your socks on, you have already performed wudu and washed your feet. Thank you, Abdul Rauf from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Dhakir from the KSA.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Sheikh, I'm calling from Makkah.
MashaAllah, make dua for us, please.
Inshallah, definitely will make.
Make dua for me, I want to move to Mecca.
Zakat, to beneficiaries as...
Dhakir.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
That's okay. Go ahead and say your question.
Yeah. In Ramadan, we give 10% of our zakat as, dress materials to beneficiaries.
Okay.
Is it allowed, or should we give only as food items?
Okay. So you give in cash?
Not in cash, as like we buy a dress for them and give it to beneficiaries.
So the beneficiaries are whom? Poor people, orphans? Who are they exactly?
Actually, in India, people used to come once in a year, come to our house. Sometimes they take 10 rupees, 20 rupees like this. So for this kind of people, really poor people are kind of beggars.
Okay, let me tell you this. Whenever it is zakah on wealth, business and trade, saving, gold or silver, it must be paid in cash to the person. It's none of your business to buy him clothes or shoes or school supplies, except if you are in charge of those people for feeding them, an orphanage where you buy the clothes for the orphans, the school supplies, the food. That's fine. You can use even your own money to buy for them the supplies. But the beggars or those who are eligible, beneficiaries, but eligible for the zakah, go to ayah number 60 of Surah At-Tawbah, then you give them in cash. Barakallah feek. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Yasmin from the USA. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
How are you,
assalam.
Sheikh?
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm fine. Thank you for asking, Sister Yasmin. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a question. It's about my family. Like, they follow Hanafi Mazhab. Before I used to do the same, because that time I didn't know about Madhavi or anything. So I thought this is Islam and I have to follow. But when I found out about your program and I watched the program of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam period, and I saw a lot of difference in it. Then I correct my salah by watching the program
Okay.
or questioning your sentence in the program. So now I am trying to make my family understand that the way they pray, they make a lot of mistakes, like saying before starting the salah, sitting like a dog. So, but they don't care. So they follow the way they used to. But
Okay.
one of my sisters, she heard about the difference from her friend, and she goes to Salim. And the people of Salim, they also follow Hanafi. So when I told her, she said she's confused. Who should she listen to?
Okay.
So I told her to follow Quran and Sahih Hadith. Then she said, okay, I can read Quran, but I don't understand the meaning of what it says. And she also said that Hanifa was one of the companion of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he can be wrong. And who gives talim that women also said that they're right. If anything happens, she's going to be the responsibility for that.
Okay.
So my sister asked me to prove that what I'm saying is correct.
Okay.
And where it is written. So can you tell something about this?
Right. Thank you,
and
Sister
which
Yasmin.
book and what number of hadith or what should I tell her?
Okay. Barakallah feekum. Thank you, Sister Yasmin. Before the short break, I would like to tell you that one of the practices which you mentioned that they follow because they're Hanafi is not even in any madhab, which is sitting like a dog or kneeling down or placing your elbows on against the ground. That is not even in any madhab. As a matter of fact, it is absolutely forbidden. The Prophet ﷺ has said, do not sit like a dog in the prayer by resting your elbows against the ground. But the differences such as not in making and raising the hands in takbir in the prayer, such as rising up from ruku' and going to the third rak'ah after tashahhud and going for ruku', these differences would not invalidate the prayer. Okay, but you will be missing the perfect style of the Prophet's prayer. According to Hanafi, you place your hands beneath the knees if you are a male, and the right view, according to the ahadith, that whether you are a male or a female, you place both the right on top of the left, on top of your chest. That is narrated by many of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So these differences won't affect the validity of the prayer, number one. And when you presented your question in the beginning, you said, I used to follow Hanafi, but I learned the right way. It gives the viewers or the audience the sense that it was like a different sect or a different party. No. As a matter of fact, my measure as far as studying fiqh and Islamic jurisprudence is Hanafi. Okay? And I appreciate and I respect this madhab so much. And Imam Abu Hanifa is one of the greatest imams of fiqh. But when it comes to learning the right way in anything with regards to any hukm, not only in the Prophet's prayer, in zakah, in fasting, in hajj, we say, how did the Prophet ﷺ do it? He did it this way, so we follow it. Why? Because if Imam Abu Hanifa is alive today, he would only follow whom? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. We don't want to follow prejudice. And prejudice, unfortunately, is as a result of language, ethnicity, and the geographical distribution. I mean, if Imam Abu Hanifa was in Egypt instead of Imam al-Shafi'i, and Imam al-Shafi'i was in Iraq, in the area which the Indian subcontinent have adopted this madhab, things would have changed. But we do all, Abu Hanifa, ومالك والشافعي وأحمد بن حنبل وسفيان الثوري والإمام البخاري, all the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah and Al-Jama'ah do follow only Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's as simple as that. To be followed, inshallah, after a short break. Stay tuned.
Imagine that the Anbiya, they were the ones that were the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they had the hardest times.
He assumed that he had some kind of superiority and he was a better, more chosen, a better person because he had this wealth. And then you look at all the other people who had wealth, and some of them were the worst people. You had Fir'aun and Harun.
Reviving your niyyah time and again, that you're doing insincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Most of the youth, they think, oh, I'm going to pray when I'm old, it's okay, now I'll have fun in my life. Later on I'll work, I'll go on my bed, I'll pray 5 times a day. And all these things, they think that's later on in their life, and they don't know when they will die.
Amira, who's your role model?
Khadija radiallahu anha.
And why?
Because she was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wife, and she was the first lady to believe in Islam.
Let's start from where they started. Who are they? The companions of the Prophet ﷺ. When they started learning the religion of Islam, they started with the Aqidah, the belief system, faith. Brothers and sisters in Islam, dear viewers, the Prophet ﷺ spent 13 years in Mecca teaching that generation the belief system, the Aqidah. Aisha radiallahu anha confirms this by saying, the first things which were revealed from the Quran was matters of Aqidah. Who is Allah? Jannah, paradise and hell. Jundub ibn Abdullah al-Bajali, may Allah be pleased with him, said, we learned the belief system, we learned the Iman, we learned the Aqidah, then we learned the Quran, Brothers and sisters in Islam, nowadays, a lot of our cultural practices, a lot of our societal norms are against our belief system. And the reason why we're falling into this, because we did not start from where they started. Join me, Kareem Abu Zaid, twice a week on Huda TV screen with the new edition, Aqidah Matters. See
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. We have Brother Sayyid from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Sayyid.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. Thank you for taking the call. My question is regarding the bank's job, because I had got the understanding that this job is not haram, not halal. But I just wanted to get a very clear direction. Is it absolutely haram, or is it a makruh, or should we, if we need to leave this job, so should we leave the job immediately, or should we try for another job? If it is haram, so my understanding is that we should be leaving the job immediately rather than searching a job. But if I ask any alim, so usually they give the opinion that don't leave the job, you search for another job and then leave the job.
Right.
So if it is haram, so probably the answer should be that we should leave the job immediately without any...
Inshallah, thank you for giving me the answer. Barakallah fiqh, Brother Sayyid. Obviously, you're not asking about banks in general. Rather, to be very specific, because there are a lot of people who would cut and paste and take things out of context. Brother Sayyid is asking about working in a conventional bank, in a bank which deals with riba, and would like to name things by their right names. Conventional banks which deal with interest, which is forbidden in Islam. So working in such banks is absolutely forbidden. It is not half and half. It is not 50-50. It is not a doubtful matter, nor is it disliked. It is haram, and it is a major sin, and the earning is haram. Should you leave the job right away? If you can afford to live independently and survive until you find another job, yes, you should. Because when Malakul Maut, the angel of death, would come and knock on your door, and you're involved in haram, whether eating or drinking or earning or giving or taking, and you have an access to get rid of that, then you will be held accountable for that. You would ask for a respite. You would say, just give me 1 day, give me 1 hour. Why? I need to resign. Why didn't you resign? Well, the other answer is for people who don't have any means. They need to adjust their status. They need to look for a job. If they stop working right now, they will be stripped of everything. They will be homeless. Their kids will be out of the schools and so on. So what you're doing is similar to eating the dead meat. You eat it because you have to, and within a limit, just to survive. I hope the answer is sufficient. Assalamu alaikum. Naam, assalamu alaikum. Sister Aisha from Nigeria. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, I have a question on fasting.
No.
Yeah, I have 3 children. Each year, Ramadan comes, it's either I'm pregnant or I'm breastfeeding.
MashaAllah.
So recently, I felt sick also, and I promised Allah if I get better, I'm going to fast 10 days of Ramadan. On getting better, doctor said that I have a serious ulcer that I cannot fast. And Ramadan is also approaching. Please, I don't know what to do.
Okay, simple. If you are advised by your doctor, not to fast.
Yeah, doctor. Yes, that I have serious chronic ulcer that I should refrain from fasting for now.
Okay. For now?
Until further diagnosis, inshallah.
Okay. May Allah give you
shifa. What I'm concerned about is the oath I make with Allah that I'm getting better, I'm going to fast 10 days of Ramadan.
Okay.
Please, I don't know what to do about that.
Okay. Sister Aisha, thank you for asking the question. For everybody, if your sickness is temporary, that you expect to recover from, then you still owe the fasting of Ramadan and of the nadhr, the vow that you took upon yourself. If it is something that you're going to live with, chronic, then you simply resort to fidyah. فَفِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٌ, to feed each day 1 miskin. Okay? And we were just talking about the measure, as-sa' and what to feed, and as a ransom for skipping fasting during Ramadan, you feed 1 person per each day. That if you're not expected to be able to fast in the near future. Assalamu alaikum. Naam. Another Aisha, but from Nigeria as well. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Aisha.
Wa alaikum salam.
Go ahead.
Dr. Muhammad Salah, I'm very happy to be talking to you that phone.
Barakallah fiki. Thank you so much.
I remember with my friend, my best friend sent you a book and you signed it. We are very happy. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Barakallah fiki. Thank you, Sister Aisha. Do you have any questions today?
I have a, yes, it's about drawing. I love drawing. In fact, I'm good at it, but people used to say sometimes it's not good drawing animated things, and I want you to tell me about hadith. Some say that hadith, some say that hadith is da'if, and stuff like that. I want you to tell me about it, so maybe I might stop doing the wrong one.
Okay. Guess what, Sister Aisha? You're not the only one who loves drawing. I love drawing too, and I love painting. And I have many paintings and many artwork. But simply, there are tons of things that you can draw other than the faces of the human beings or living creatures such as birds or fish. You can draw the nature, you can draw the mountains, the trees, the seas, the oceans, the plants, roses. There are many, many things you can draw. Just stay away, sunrise, sunset. You can simply draw anything that you wish or desire. Just stay away from drawing the human faces or the faces and the images of the living creatures, because there is a clear prohibition against that the Prophet ﷺ forbade that in many sound ahadith. Assalamu alaikum. Patters from Oman. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Sheikh, I have one question.
No.
The last year we went for Umrah. So from Miqat we went to the hotel direct, and in the halat of ihram, my wife unintentionally, by mistake, she combed her hair. But when she remembered after Umrah finished. So what is the ruling for this?
Your Umrah is valid, her Umrah is valid, there is no penalty. Anything that you do out of forgetfulness, Allah the Almighty remits and forgives. Thank you. Sister Salma from USA, our very first caller, who waited for 16 minutes. Of course, I want to wrap it up before answering your question, Sister Salma. For your sick friend or sister who went through a surgery and she cannot keep her wudu, advise her to make wudu after the adhan has been called or whenever the time of each prayer has entered, and let her pray, even if she keeps breaking her wudu within the prayer itself. The prayer is still valid. If she is in a medical condition where she has difficulty going to the bathroom, standing up, she can actually join two prayers with the same wudu at the time of either one of the prayers. Yani, she may be eligible to pray Dhuhr and Asr together, either at the time of Dhuhr, 4 rak'ahs each because she is local, she is resident. Combining the prayer is permissible. It's a concession in this regard. She can pray Dhuhr and Asr with the same wudu when she hears the adhan of Dhuhr or the time of Dhuhr has entered, make wudu and pray Dhuhr, then Asr. That's it. Or if you want to postpone it, then pray Dhuhr and Asr by the end of Asr time and before sunset. That is permissible. And you can do the same with Maghrib and Isha, combine these two prayers. So you would end up making offering the prayer at 3 times, but combining 2 prayers at the time of either one of them. Pertaining to making wudu before going to sleep. When you go to sleep, you avoid your wudu, your bacon or whatever. Do you have to get up to make wudu again? No, not necessarily. If you want to, that's perfectly fine. If you want to be like Bilal ibn Rabah, may Allah be pleased with him. But you don't have to worry about this. What is needed is, out of ease, to sleep in the condition of tahara. Safi from United Arab Emirates, making the supplication, is it before or after the Durud Sharif? Number one, as I said before, you can make it in your mother tongue if you don't know Arabic. But the supplication during the tashahud is after you recite the Durud Sharif, after you recite At-Tahiyyatu Lillah wal-Salawat wal-Tayyibat. And whenever you're ready to make taslim, before that, you can invoke Allah. There is a prescribed supplication. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min fitnati al-mahya wal-mamat. وفتنة المسيح الدجال اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب في النار وعذاب في القبر. 4 things that Prophet Muhammad used oftenly to seek refuge with Allah against them after the Durud Sharif and before making taslim. If the woman's period is prolonged, this really has to be discussed on individual basis to know whether it's really the period or is it an irregular bleeding. If it is an irregular bleeding more than the period time, will be treated as istihada. You make wudu for each prayer and you still have to pray and fast. But if it is really the period and if it is taking too long, we really have to verify that first. Sister Saifullah from the KSA, your son, give him my message. I love him for the sake of Allah and your entire family. And wallahi, all of you brothers and sisters, the viewers, my heart loves you even though I can't see you. But subhanallah, this is the tie of the Quran. This is the tie of this beautiful religion. This is the strongest bond. May Allah the Almighty gather us by His mercy in His paradise as a result of loving each other for His sake. Ameen. Accepting the invitation of somebody who is a banker working in a conventional bank. Imagine, brother Sayyid from United Arab Emirates, how the righteous people feel about going to somebody's house whom they know that his money is haram, his earning is haram. They are reluctant even to eat or drink in his place. Why? Because it's haram. It is haram. So if the person's earning is mixed, haram and halal, if the person has more than a source of income, then I am permitted to eat from his food if I want to. And he's blameworthy for the part which is earned unlawfully. If his earning is absolutely forbidden, I would like to nourish my body by anything which is earned unlawfully. And you know the story of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and how he vomited because he knew that the food which was brought to him was earned from soothsaying. Brother Khurshid, if you have a glass of water, any water, or if it is Zamzam water, it would be preferable. It is permissible to recite Quran. We don't call in the calls, rather it's called al-mu'awwidhat. قل هو الله أحد. Then قل أعوذ برب الفلق. قل أعوذ برب الناس. And this is how you do it. That's called blowing without saliva. I'm not going to drink behind somebody who spat in the drink or even make wudu out of that. But so the blowing thingy is actually prescribed in many ahadith with regards to before going to sleep. You gather your hand, you summon your hands, you recite al-mu'awwidhat, the sit, then you blow twice, and you wipe over your face and over your body. Then you do that 3 times. In the prayer, if you feel that Satan is whispering to you, you can turn to your left side and you do this and you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I know that to many people this is like, very new to them. Well, it is in the Sunnah. As far as the recitation of the Quran, that Allah the Almighty said in Surah Al-Nahl, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The Quran is a shifa, is a cure. You recite it for yourself, you recite it upon others. The hadith in Al-Imam al-Bukhari, narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, about the man who gave ruqya by reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. A combination of both was done by many of our predecessors. It won't come out of the blue. And the scholars have approved this. We definitely ran out of time. I hope inshallah we'll get a chance to tackle this issue in depth in the next episode. Until then, brothers and sisters, I leave you in the care of Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance.